The second one is really about capital raising. So for syndicators like us, this is likely the most important potential SEC rule change. So let's quickly go over the current rule, because a lot of people, get this messed up. A lot of folks don't necessarily follow these rules 100%, but simply put, currently you cannot pay people to raise money for you, and you cannot raise money for someone else for pay unless you're a licensed broker dealer. And there's the licensed broker dealer piece. It's hard to get that license. It's expensive to get that license. So people just can't, do that over the weekend. So the only time an unlicensed person can raise capital is if they are legitimate co-sponsors in the deal. And in order to be quote unquote legitimate, you have to be performing substantial duties as your primary role or roles in the deal. And that role cannot be capital raising. So, and the hallmark is really, you cannot have any transaction-based compensation, whether that's in the form of equity. For instance, if you raise $1 million, you get 10% of the GP, or put another way, you get a certain percentage of the capital that you raise. Either way, that's called transaction-based compensation, and it's the hallmark of being a broker-dealer, and you cannot do that under the current rules. So if you receive compensation in that way, you are practicing as an unlicensed broker-dealer. Now, we all know that goes on, but right now that is not legal. That is not permitted under the SEC rules. But there are some changes in the wind. SEC has recognized that this type of compensation is going on. There have been some investigations that you may have heard about, but they've also recognized that it's a problem and they need to change the rules, because for these smaller deals, and when I say smaller, I mean like, $5 to $10 million or under for the equity raise, it's hard to get broker dealers to commit to those raises because they're not big enough. And even if they do, it's expensive. They're going to charge you 5 to 9%, something like that. So it basically makes them unavailable for smaller operators. A lot of the deals that we vet, a lot of the deals that we put out. So in October of 2020, SEC came out with some proposed rules, not official yet, to combat that issue. And they came out with 2 tiers of finders. So tier 1 essentially says, if I give you a list of investors, I'm a finder, I give you a list of investors, I can get compensated for providing that list, but I cannot be involved whatsoever. No communication, no introductions, nothing like that. I just provide a list. So that's not quite as important as tier number 2, because that can actually be useful for us. So tier number 2 is much more exciting. It allows people to go out to people that you already know. So it allows, let's say, me or you as a finder to reach out to our investors, vet them, qualify them, and present and explain the offering documents to someone for a deal, and make the introduction to the direct operator. And then you as the finder can actually get transaction-based compensation, which is not allowed right now, but you can potentially do that if and when this rule becomes law. So you can get paid a flat fee, or you can get 1 or 2 or 10% of the capital raise, whatever. You can get that transaction-based compensation. So that would all be okay under the potential new laws. But again, that has not passed yet. Who knows how long it's going to take for them to pass it, but it could potentially be coming down the pipeline in 2021. And there are a lot of limitations to this. I'm not going to go into detail right now, but a couple of them are just, your investors need to be accredited. You must already know those investors. There's got to be a written agreement between the finder and the sponsor. And of course, you've always got to disclose your arrangement between yourself, the finder, and the sponsors, that you're going to get paid. So, and there are some other, again, limitations. There's a ton of them, but it can really open up that rule for both capital raisers and for sponsors to get capital easier. And then that combined with the accredited investor rule change could really just open the floodgates up for investments in these commercial deals that we all want access to. But again, we've got to wait and see where the SEC goes with it.